The first time I realized my family saw me as broken was at my cousin Jayla's bridal shower. I wasn't crying in the bathroom or anything dramatic like that. I was actually smiling at my laptop screen while everyone else cooed over lingerie and kitchen gadgets. My name is Mallory, and at 23, I had just launched my first AI security platform. The notification pinging on my screen showed 10,000 concurrent users, a milestone that should have felt like a victory. Instead, I was trying to make myself smaller in the corner of Aunt Sandra's oversized living room, pretending not to hear the whispers. Still with those computers, Aunt Sandra's voice carried across the room. It's not natural for a girl her age. I kept typing, my fingers flying across the keyboard as I monitored the system logs. The platform was handling the traffic beautifully, exactly as I designed it to. Mallory, Jayla's voice cut through my concentration. Put that thing away. We're about to do presents. I looked up to find 20 pairs of eyes on me. Some pitying, some annoyed, all judging. The room was decorated in pink and white, with delicate paper flowers hanging from the ceiling. Everyone else wore sundresses and pearls. I had on black jeans and my favorite hoodie. Just 1 minute, I said, saving my changes. Critical update. Oh, honey. Aunt Sandra's heels clicked across the hardwood floor. The only critical update you need is to your dating profile. When was the last time you went out with a nice young man? Laughter rippled through the room. I forced a smile, the kind I'd perfected over years of these gatherings. Actually, I started, but Jayla cut me off. Palmer says he has some friends from medical school, single doctors. She winked, adjusting her massive engagement ring. I could set you up. I'm good, thanks. I closed my laptop. Let's do presents. The next hour was torture by tissue paper. Each gift came with a story about marriage, about how Jayla and Palmer were meant to be, about the importance of family. With every bow I had to watch her untie, every recipe card I had to pretend to care about, my phone buzzed in my pocket. More users, more validation, more proof that I wasn't crazy for choosing this path. Then came Aunt Sandra's toast. To my beautiful daughter, she raised her champagne flute. Who knows that true happiness comes from love, not algorithms? She looked directly at me. Some of us are meant to build homes, not hide behind screens with our robot friends. More laughter, more pitying looks. Jayla beamed, basking in the attention. I took a sip of champagne and opened my laptop again, tuning out the rest of the toast. A new notification popped up, this one different from the others. My heart stopped. Warning: unauthorized access attempt detected. Source: internal network. Pattern match. J. Cooper to timestamp. 3 minutes ago. Everything okay over there with your little computer games? Jayla's voice dripped with fake concern. I looked up sharply. She was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read, her perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around her glass. Fine, I said, but my mind was racing. J.R. Cooper 22. Jayla Cooper. The timestamp matched exactly when she'd walked behind my chair to get more champagne. You know, she continued, loud enough for everyone to hear, Palmer says technology addiction is a real problem these days. He sees it in his practice all the time. People choosing screens over real connections. I started running diagnostics, my fingers trembling slightly. The access attempt had targeted core security protocols, not random at all. Someone with basic coding knowledge had tried to breach my system. Mallory, are you even listening? Aunt Sandra's voice was sharp. Always, I said, not looking up. Just like I was listening when you redirected my trust fund last year, the one Mom left for my education. The room went silent. I hadn't meant to say it out loud, but there it was. Aunt Sandra's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course not. I stood up, gathering my things. Congratulations, Jayla. I'm sure you and Palmer will be very happy. As I walked out, my phone buzzed one final time. Another warning, but this one made me smile. Attempted breach failed. Countermeasures deployed. Target identified and logged. They thought I was wasting my life with computers. They thought I was choosing isolation over family. But they never understood. I wasn't hiding behind screens. I was building something they couldn't touch, couldn't control, couldn't break. And now I had proof that at least one of them was scared enough to try to break in. The game was just beginning. 5 years can change everything. I sat in the gleaming boardroom of Castle Key Bank, 40 stories above Manhattan, watching the morning headlines scroll across my tablet. Hawkshield AI prevents billion-dollar cyber heist. Your system caught it 12 minutes before the transfer, Leonardo, my CTO, was saying. The Swiss are practically begging for an exclusive contract. I nodded, only half listening. The real victory wasn't in the headlines. It was in the quiet satisfaction of proving everyone wrong. My robot friends had just saved one of the largest banks in Europe from catastrophe. Earth to Mallory, Leonardo waved his hand in front of my face. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Are you ready? Always ready, I said, straightening my blazer. Gone were the hoodies and jeans. Today I wore Armani and carried a designer briefcase, not because I cared about labels, but because appearance was currency in these rooms. Rosalie, my mentor on the board, intercepted us in the hallway. Mallory, we need to talk before the meeting. Her expression was tense. There's been an emergency addition to the agenda. She pulled me into a side office, closing the door. A bailout request came in last night. Dawson Medical Group. The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Palmer Dawson? You know him? I kept my face neutral. He's married to my cousin. Shit. Rosalie ran a hand through her silver-streaked hair. I should recuse you from the vote. What exactly are they asking for? $15 million. Emergency capital injection. Their primary facility is underwater, and they're facing some kind of litigation risk. She paused. The numbers don't add up, Mallory, but there's pressure from above to push it through. My phone buzzed. Leonardo had sent me the loan application documents. I scanned them quickly, years of pattern recognition kicking in. These financials are doctored, I said. Look at the quarterly revenue jumps. They're too perfect. Can you prove it? I pulled up Hawkshield's financial analysis module on my tablet. Give me 5 minutes. The boardroom filled while I worked. I barely noticed the other members filing in until Palmer himself walked through the door. He'd aged since I'd last seen him. His face was puffy, his designer suit slightly ill-fitting. He didn't recognize me at first. Mr. Dawson, the board chairman began, please present your case. Palmer launched into a polished speech about market pressures and temporary setbacks. I let him talk while my AI crawled through his company's digital footprint. Just need bridge financing to weather this storm, he was saying. Dawson Medical Group has an impeccable reputation. My tablet pinged. I looked up. Is that why you've been transferring funds to an offshore account in the Caymans? Palmer froze mid-sentence. Now he recognized me. I don't know what you're talking about. I turned my tablet around, displaying the transaction records. 7 transfers in the last month, all just under reporting thresholds. Clever. I swiped to the next screen. And these casino charges in Macau, are they part of your medical research? This is absurd, Palmer sputtered. You can't access private banking records. They're not private when they're tied to loan applications, I said calmly. And they're not private when they trigger our fraud detection algorithms. The board chairman leaned forward. Mr. Dawson, is this true? Palmer's face had gone from red to white. This is a personal vendetta. Mallory has always been jealous of her cousin, my wife. Jealous? I laughed, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Of what? Your fake success? Your gambling debts? Or maybe the malpractice suit you're trying to settle quietly? The room erupted in whispers. Palmer lunged forward, but security was already moving. You bitch, he hissed. Jayla was right about you. Always hiding behind your computers, thinking you're better than everyone. The difference, I cut him off, is that my computers don't lie. Meeting adjourned. As security escorted Palmer out, Rosalie touched my arm. You should have recused yourself. Why? Because he's family. I gathered my things. Family doesn't steal trust funds. Family doesn't mock your dreams. And family definitely doesn't try to hack your systems to cover up their fraud. My phone buzzed again. A text from Jayla. How dare you humiliate my husband like this? You'll regret it. I showed the message to Leonardo, who had appeared at my side. He whistled low. What are you going to do? I smiled, thinking of that bridal shower 5 years ago, of all the parties and gatherings where I'd been the family disappointment. Nothing. Karma's doing it for me. The view from 40 stories up was beautiful, but revenge? Revenge was better. You need to see this. Delilah, my junior engineer, burst into my office the next morning. Her usual cheerful demeanor was replaced with worry. Someone's been probing our old code base. I followed her to the Security Operations Center, where monitors displayed real-time threat analytics. She pulled up a log file that made my blood run cold. Jaitio, Cooper, Saren 22, access attempt, legacy system V1.0, status, dormant script detected, origin, historical timestamp, 5 years prior. That's impossible, I muttered, leaning closer. That system was offline before we even incorporated. Leonardo appeared behind us, coffee in hand. Not impossible, just deliberate. He pointed to the timestamp. This was planted during your beta testing phase. Ring any bells? The memory hit me like a thunderbolt. Jayla, hovering over my shoulder at another family gathering, my mother's memorial service. I'd been debugging my first security prototype, trying to lose myself in code instead of grief. Let me see your little project, she'd said, feigning interest for once. Maybe I can help. You don't know anything about coding, I'd replied. No, but I know someone who does. She'd smiled that perfect practice smile. Remember Darius from college? He's doing amazing things in tech now. Darius Perkins. The name triggered another alert in my mind. Pull up everything we have on Darius Perkins, I told Delilah. The screens filled with data. Corporate filings, news articles, social media. There he was, now CEO of Rival Tech Solutions, a direct competitor, and listed as a business partner in Dawson Medical Group's latest venture. Well, well, Leonardo whistled. Looks like your cousin's been playing both sides. My phone rang. Rosalie. Turn on the financial news, she said without preamble. The headline scrolled across the bottom of CNBC. Rival Tech Solutions announces breakthrough in medical AI security, partners with Dawson Medical Group. They're using our code, Delilah said, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The dormant script. It was a backdoor. They've been stealing our research for years. I should have felt angry, but instead, a cold clarity washed over me. Get me everything on the trust fund transfers from 5 years ago. Mallory, Leonardo warned. Some doors are better left closed. Not this one. Hours later, we had our answer. The paper trail was buried deep, but AI doesn't miss patterns. The family trust, meant to be split between Jayla and me after my mother's death, had been systematically drained. First through legal transfers orchestrated by Aunt Sandra, then through a series of investments in shell companies. One of those companies? Rival Tech Solutions. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Remember when you used to cry about being different? Some things never change. D. Darius. Still trying to get under my skin after all these years. I was about to reply when Delilah gasped. Boss, they're launching an attack. Rival Tech is trying to force their way into our current systems. Let them, I said, watching the intrusion attempts multiply across our screens. They're using our old code against us, but they forgot one thing. What's that? Leonardo asked. I wrote that code. I know exactly how to turn it against them. My fingers flew across the keyboard, muscle memory from countless nights of a coding taking over. In the original system, I'd built a failsafe, a self-destruct sequence that would trigger if anyone tried to weaponize the code. There, I hit enter. Watch. On the screens, Rival Tech's attack suddenly reversed. Their own systems began failing, their stolen code eating itself from the inside out. My phone rang again. Jayla this time. What did you do? She screamed. Darius says everything's crashing. Funny how karma works, I replied calmly. Did he tell you about the backdoor you helped him plant? Or about how he used your husband's medical practice to launder research theft? Silence on the other end. By the way, I continued, Aunt Sandra's investment in Rival Tech, the one she made with my trust fund money, it's worthless now. The SEC will have questions about that. You're destroying our lives, Jayla whispered. No, I corrected her. You did that yourself. I'm just letting the truth catch up. After I hung up, Leonardo touched my shoulder. You okay? I looked at my team. Delilah's fierce loyalty, Leonardo's steady presence. This was my real family now. Better than okay, I said, but we're not done yet. On my screen, another alert flashed. Incoming email from Griffin Cooper. Subject, we need to talk. Time, now, my father. The last piece of the puzzle. Ready for round 2? Leonardo asked. I nodded, opening the email. Family reunions aren't over yet. I chose the most public place possible to meet my father, the crowded cafe in the lobby of my office building. 5 years of silence, and now he wanted to talk? Fine, but on my terms. He was already there when I arrived, looking older than I remembered. His banker's suit hung loose on his frame, his hair more gray than brown. Mallory, he stood as I approached. You look successful? I sat down without hugging him. Amazing what following your dreams can do. The waiter appeared. I ordered an espresso. Griffin got water. Sandra called me, he said after an uncomfortable silence. She's hysterical. Something about Rival Tech stocks crashing? Funny how she runs to you when her schemes fall apart. I pulled out my tablet. Want to see what else she's been running to you about? I slid the device across the table. Photos filled the screen. Griffin and Sandra at her beach house in the Hamptons, dated 2 weeks after my mother's funeral. More photos, more dates, all during the time the trust was being drained. You knew, I said quietly. You knew what she was doing with my inheritance. He wouldn't meet my eyes. It's complicated, Mallory. Sandra, she had a plan. For all of us. A plan? I laughed bitterly. Was the plan to fund Jayla's husband's fake medical empire, or to invest my money in a company trying to steal my work? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I leaned forward. I found the emails, Dad. You and Sandra, discussing how to protect the family legacy from my risky tech ventures. You chose her side. Every time. A notification popped up on my phone. Leonardo. Darius Perkins just called a press conference. Turning it on now. The cafe's TV screen switched to the news. There was Darius, looking polished in his CEO suit. Jayla standing supportively behind him. Recent system failures at Rival Tech Solutions were the result of a targeted attack, he was saying. We have evidence linking this corporate sabotage to Hawkshield AI and its founder. Targeted attack? I scoffed. They tried to hack us using code they stole years ago. The system defended itself. Griffin was watching the screens, his face pale. Is this true? What's true is that your precious niece helped plant malicious code in my first prototype. What's true is that you all thought I was wasting my life while you invested my inheritance in the very people trying to destroy me. My phone buzzed again. Delilah. Boss, you need to see this. Found something in Sandra's email archives. I opened the attachment. It was an old email chain between Sandra and my mother, dated just before her death. Promise me you'll support Mallory's dreams, my mother had written. The trust is for her future, whatever future she chooses. Sandra's response, Of course, sister. I'll make sure the money goes exactly where it needs to go." My hands shook. She promised Mom, and you let her break that promise. Sandra said it was for your own good, Griffin whispered, that you needed to learn real-world values. Real-world values? I stood up, my chair scraping loudly. Like loyalty? Like keeping your word? Like standing up for your own daughter? The cafe had gone quiet. On the TV, Darius was still talking, but now the ticker below showed Rivaltech's stock price in free fall. "I built something real," I said, my voice steady despite the anger burning in my chest. "Something that matters. While you and Sandra were playing family politics, I was creating systems that protect people's lives and livelihoods." "Mallory, please." "No." I gathered my things. "You don't get to plead now. Not after 5 years of silence. Not after choosing Sandra's lies over your own daughter's truth." My phone lit up again. "Leonardo, SEC just announced an investigation into Rivaltech and Dawson Medical. They're looking into the trust fund transfers too." I showed the message to Griffin. "Better warn Sandra. Her plan is about to become a legal matter." He slumped in his chair, looking defeated. "What do you want from me, Mallory?" "Nothing," I replied. "Not anymore. I stopped needing anything from this family the day you all decided I wasn't worth believing in." As I walked away, I heard him call after me, "I'm sorry. Too little. Too late. The time for apologies had passed. Now was the time for consequences." Outside, the autumn air was crisp and clean. My phone buzzed one final time. "Rosalie. Emergency board meeting tomorrow. Dawson Medical Group situation escalating. You ready?" I smiled, thinking of Jayla standing behind Darius at that press conference, still trying to destroy what I'd built. "Ready," I typed back. "Time to end this." The emergency board meeting wasn't in the usual conference room. They moved us to the Crisis Management Center on the top floor, a clear sign that things had escalated beyond a simple loan default. Palmer and Jayla were already there when I arrived, along with their lawyer. Jayla wore her designer armor, Chanel suit, perfect makeup, Ice Queen composure. But I could see the cracks. "Let's begin," the chairman announced. "Mr. Dawson, in light of recent developments—" "This is a witch hunt," Palmer interrupted. "These allegations are baseless." I opened my laptop. "Are the offshore accounts baseless? Or the malpractice settlements you've been hiding?" "You've been digging into private medical records?" their lawyer demanded. "No need to dig." I projected my screen onto the wall. "Your patients have been very vocal on social media. Shall we read some reviews?" Jayla's composure cracked. "Stop it, Mallory. Just stop. Like you stopped when you helped Darius plant that backdoor in my code." I pulled up the evidence. "Or when you helped Sandra steal my inheritance." "We were protecting you," Jayla snapped. "You were throwing your life away on some tech fantasy while I was building a real future." The board members shifted uncomfortably. Rosalie cleared her throat. "Perhaps we should focus on the financial irregularities." "Oh, let's," I agreed. "Palmer, want to explain why your medical equipment purchases don't match your patient records? Or why insurance claims from your practice spike exactly when Rivaltech needs capital?" Palmer's face went red. "You don't understand the medical industry, but I understand numbers." I switched to another screen. Every insurance claim, every equipment purchase, every consultation fee. It's all here. AI doesn't miss patterns, Palmer, and your patterns scream fraud. "Enough!" Jayla stood up, mascara starting to run. "You think you're so perfect with your algorithms and your success, but you're still that weird little girl hiding behind a computer screen." I stayed seated, calm. Better than hiding behind fake accounts and stolen money. "Miss Cooper," the chairman addressed Jayla, "are you aware that assisting in corporate espionage is a federal crime?" Jayla's lawyer whispered something urgent in her ear. She ignored him. "Everything we did as a family," she insisted. "Aunt Sandra said—" "Sandra said what?" I cut in. "That it was okay to steal from her dead sister's daughter? That funding Palmer's gambling debts with my trust fund was protecting me?" The room went silent. Palmer's face had gone from red to gray. Gambling debts? The chairman asked sharply. Macau, I confirmed. Every month. Coincidentally matching the amounts withdrawn from various shell companies funded by my trust. Palmer grabbed Jayla's arm. We need to leave. Now. Running won't help, I said quietly. The SEC has everything. So does the medical board and the insurance commission. You vindictive bitch, Palmer snarled. You've ruined us. No, Rosalie spoke up. Based on these documents, you ruined yourselves. The board votes to not only deny the emergency loan, but to forward all evidence to the relevant authorities. Jayla started crying, her perfect makeup streaming down her face. You don't understand. We needed that money. The lawsuits are coming, and Darius said, Darius? The chairman's eyebrows shot up. Darius Perkins? The CEO under investigation for corporate espionage? Former CEO, I corrected, checking my phone. He just resigned. Something about pursuing other opportunities. Palmer slumped in his chair. It's over. It was over the moment you decided to build your success on lies, I told him. The truth always catches up. Security arrived to escort them out. As Jayla passed my chair, she stopped. Mom was right about you, she whispered. You'll always be alone with your computers. I thought about Leonardo waiting in my office, about Delilah's fierce loyalty, about Rosalie's mentorship. I'm not alone, I replied. I'm just not with people who tried to break me. After they left, the chairman called a recess. Rosalie stayed behind. That couldn't have been easy, she said. They're still your family. No, I gathered my things. Family doesn't try to destroy you. Family doesn't steal your inheritance or mock your dreams or help your competitors steal your work. So what now? My phone buzzed. A message from Sandra. We need to talk, please. I showed Rosalie the text. Now we finish this. All of it. Be careful, she warned. Cornered people are dangerous. So am I said, heading for the door. They just never believed it until now. The elevator ride down felt like descent into another confrontation. But this time, I wasn't the family disappointment hiding behind a screen. This time, I was the storm they never saw coming. Sandra was waiting in my office when I returned. She'd aged since I'd last seen her, but her pearls were still perfect, her posture still rigid with superiority. Leonardo stood nearby, arms crossed, watching her like a hawk. You can go, Leo, I said. You sure? He didn't take his eyes off Sandra. I'm sure. I sat behind my desk. My aunt was just leaving anyway. Mallory, Sandra's voice trembled slightly. We need to fix this. The scandal, it's destroying everything. Everything you built on lies? You mean? I pulled up the trust fund documents on my monitor. Want to explain these transfers? You were young, reckless. We were protecting the family legacy. By stealing from me? I turned the screen toward her. By funding Palmer's gambling and Darius's corporate theft? She flinched. It wasn't like that. We had plans. My phone buzzed. Delilah. Boss, we found something big. Coming up now. The door burst open. Delilah rushed in, tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but look at this. She placed the tablet on my desk. Sandra's been busy this morning. Email records filled the screen. Urgent messages to offshore accounts, transfer requests, desperate attempts to move money. Trying to hide the rest of my trust fund? I asked Sandra. Or just covering Palmer's tracks? You don't understand, Sandra's composure cracked. Palmer, he promised the investments would pay off. The medical practice was supposed to be our security. Security? I laughed. It was a front. Palmer was laundering money through fake equipment purchases. Jayla helped Darius steal my technology, and you funded all of it. I had to protect Jayla. Sandra stood up, her voice rising. She was going to have a real life, a normal life, unlike me. I stayed seated, calm. The weird niece who embarrassed you with her computers? You were just like your mother, Sandra spat. Always thinking you were better than us with your big dreams and your fancy education. The words hit like a slap. My mother believed in me. She left that trust fund so I could chase those dreams. Your mother was a fool. Sandra's mask finally shattered. She filled your head with nonsense about changing the world when you should have been learning to fit in. Leonardo stepped forward, but I held up a hand to stop him. Fit in? I pulled up another document. Like this? Your email to the family lawyer the day after Mom died, planning how to redirect my inheritance? Sandra went pale. Where did you get that? I'm good with computers, remember? Mom's estate documents, the trust fund transfers, your secret meetings with my father, it's all here. I pressed a button, and now it's all with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. You wouldn't, she whispered. We're family. Family? I stood up slowly. Family doesn't steal from orphan nieces. Family doesn't conspire to destroy someone's life work. Family doesn't betray a dying sister's wishes. My phone buzzed again. A news alert. FBI raids rival tech offices. CEO Darius Perkins in custody. I showed Sandra the headline. Looks like your investment isn't paying off after all. She grabbed her designer bag, hands shaking. You've ruined everything. Your cousin's marriage, your father's reputation. No, Delilah interrupted, surprising us all. You did that. I've seen the evidence. You took a brilliant woman's inheritance and used it to fund fraud and theft. You're not the victim here. Sandra turned to me, tears in her eyes. What do you want? Money? I can get it back. I want nothing from you, I said. Not anymore. The FBI will handle the money. The SEC will handle the fraud. And you? I smiled coldly. You get to explain to everyone why you betrayed your own sister's dying wish. Your mother would be ashamed of what you've become, she said, heading for the door. No, I called after her. She'd be proud I finally stood up to you. After she left, Leonardo put a hand on my shoulder. You okay? Better than okay. I checked my phone. More news alerts. Palmer facing medical board investigation. Jayla named in corporate espionage case. Sandra's assets frozen. What now? Delilah asked. Now? I looked at my team, the family I'd chosen. Now we get back to work. Real work. Building something that matters. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from my father. You were right. About everything. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I showed Leonardo the message. Think it's genuine? He shrugged. Does it matter? No, I replied, deleting the message. It doesn't. Outside my office window, the city stretched endlessly, full of possibilities. I'd lost one family, but built another. And this one? This one was built on truth, not lies. Sometimes karma needs a little help. Sometimes justice wears a hoodie and writes code. And sometimes the best revenge is simply succeeding on your own terms. The final board meeting was a formality. 2 weeks after Sandra's visit, we gathered to review the fallout. The room felt different, lighter somehow, as if a long shadow had finally lifted. The numbers are clear, Rosalie presented. Hawkshield's detection of the rival tech fraud saved our investors billions. The FBI is calling it the biggest corporate espionage case of the year. I watched the faces around the table. These people had once looked at me with skepticism. The young tech founder who didn't fit their traditional banking mold. Now they looked at me with respect. There's more, Leonardo added, standing up. The backdoor temp triggered improvements in our AI. We're now detecting fraud patterns we didn't even know existed. My phone buzzed. A news notification. Dawson Medical Group files for bankruptcy. CEO faces criminal charges. Speaking of fraud, I said, Palmer's medical practice wasn't just laundering money. They were falsifying patient records to hide malpractice. Jesus, someone muttered. The trust fund money Sandra stole? I continued. It funded everything. The fake medical equipment, the stolen technology, even Darius's attempts to hack our systems. The chairman cleared his throat. Ms. Cooper. Mallory. The board wants to acknowledge that this must have been personally difficult. Actually, I smiled, it wasn't difficult at all. The truth is simple. It's lies that are complicated. The door opened. Delilah rushed in, tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. She placed the tablet in front of me. An email from my father. Mallory, Sandra confessed everything. The trust fund, the conspiracy with Darius, all of it. I've attached her signed statement and all the documents you'll need for the investigation. I should have protected you. I should have seen what was happening. I know it's too late for apologies, but maybe this helps make things right. Dad. Well, Rosalie peered at the screen. That's unexpected. My phone rang. Jayla's name flashed on the screen. I answered on speaker. Come to gloat? Her voice was raw, broken. No, I replied. Just working. Palmer's going to jail, she said. Mom's under investigation. Everything we built, it's gone. You built it on lies, Jayla. What did you expect? I expected family loyalty, she shouted. I expected you to understand that we were trying to create something. By destroying what I created, I cut her off. By helping Darius steal my work? By mocking everything I ever tried to achieve? Silence on the line. You know what's funny, I continued. All those years you spent calling me the family disappointment, I was building something real, something that actually helps people. I helped people, she protested weakly. Palmer's practice, falsified records, endangered patients, and laundered money, I finished. That's not helping, Jayla. That's hurting with a pretty facade. More silence then. What happens now? Now? I looked around the boardroom at my real family, Leonardo's quiet strength, Delilah's fierce loyalty, Rosalie's proud smile. Now you face the consequences, just like I faced every consequence of being different, of choosing my own path. Mom always said you'd destroy us, Jayla whispered. No, I replied. Your own choices did that. I just built better systems to catch those choices. After I hung up, the chairman stood. I think we're done here, Mallory. The board has unanimously voted to expand Hawkshield's contract. We want full integration across all our systems. Thank you, I said, but there's one condition. Oh? Delilah gets promoted to Chief Security Officer. She's earned it. Delilah's eyes widened. Leonardo grinned. Done, the chairman agreed. Anything else? I thought about Sandra's pearls, about Jayla's designer suits, about all the trappings of success they'd valued over truth. Yes, I said. We're starting a scholarship fund for girls who want to code, who dream of building things, who might not fit the traditional mold. We'll call it the Catherine Cooper Memorial Fund, after my mother. Rosalie wiped a tear. Your mother would be proud. I know, I smiled. She always said success isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out for the right reasons. As the board filed out, Leonardo lingered. Dinner tonight? To celebrate? I looked at him, really looked at him. All these years of loyalty, of understanding, of quiet support. Yes, I said. I think it's time. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. You won. But at what cost? S. I deleted it without replying. Sandra would never understand that I hadn't won anything. I'd simply built something stronger than their lies, and that was worth everything. The autumn wind whipped around me as I stood at my mother's grave, the first time I'd visited since the funeral. Leonardo waited respectfully by the car, giving me space. You were right, Mom, I said softly, placing fresh flowers against the stone. About everything. My phone buzzed. Delilah sending me the latest news. Palmer had pleaded guilty to all charges. Darius was cooperating with federal investigators. Sandra's assets remained frozen. Ms. Cooper? A familiar voice made me turn. The cemetery groundskeeper approached, holding an envelope. Your father left this for you this morning. Said it was important. Inside was a key and an address. Below it, my father's handwriting. Your mother's storage unit. It's time you had what's yours. I showed Leonardo the note. Feel like a detour? The storage facility was small, family-owned. Unit 23 looked like any other, but my hands trembled as I turned the key. The door rolled up to reveal boxes, dozens of them, carefully labeled in my mother's neat handwriting. Mallory's Code Projects, age 12, Science Fair Awards, MIT acceptance. She kept everything, I whispered. Leonardo picked up a dusty laptop. This looks ancient. That's where I wrote my first program. I took it from him, memories flooding back. Mom bought it for me when Sandra said computers weren't for girls. There's more, Leonardo pointed to a filing cabinet. Inside were documents, the original trust paperwork, letters, photos, and a sealed envelope with my name on it, dated just before she died. Dear Mallory, I read aloud, my voice catching. If you're reading this, then I was right about Sandra. I've kept copies of everything. The real trust documents, the account numbers, proof of what they're planning. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. You were always meant to build something extraordinary. Love, Mom. She knew, Leonardo said softly. She protected you the only way she could. By leaving a paper trail. I laughed through tears. Like mother, like daughter. My phone rang. Rosalie. Turn on the news. Now. Leonardo pulled it up on his phone. The headline made my breath catch. FBI announces major break in corporate fraud case. Whistleblower Griffin Cooper provides key evidence. Your father's been working with them for months, Rosalie explained, ever since you confronted him. He gave them everything. Sandra's schemes, Palmer's fraud, all of it. I sat heavily on a storage box. He chose a side. The right one, finally, Leonardo added. Another box caught my eye. Mallory's first server setup. Inside was my original coding notebook, filled with teenage dreams and diagrams. I want to show you something, I told Leonardo, pulling out my phone and calling Delilah. Remember that scholarship idea? Let's make it bigger. How much bigger? I could hear her typing. Convert the old server room into a coding academy. Free classes for girls who want to learn tech. Use Mom's storage unit as a museum. Show them where it all started. Already on it, Delilah replied. First class starts next week. Leonardo touched my arm. There's something else you should see. He led me to his car and drove to my office building. The lobby had changed. A new sign hung above the entrance. Catherine Cooper Center for Technology Innovation. The board approved it this morning, he explained, along with funding for a full STEM scholarship program. I stared at my mother's name in gleaming letters. It's perfect. There's one more thing. Leonardo turned to face me. I've been waiting for the right moment. Yes, I said before he could finish. He blinked. You don't even know what I was going to say. You were going to suggest dinner, not to celebrate the company or the victory or even the academy. I smiled. Just dinner. Just us. Actually, he pulled out a small box. I was going to suggest forever. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from my father. Your mother would be so proud, not just of what you built, but of who you became. I am too. I looked at Leonardo, at the ring, at my mother's name shining above us. This wasn't the family ending Sandra and Jayla had planned for me. This was better. Forever sounds good, I said, taking the ring. But first, I have a coding class to teach. Leonardo laughed. Of course you do. The autumn wind had calmed. Above us, my mother's name caught the setting sun, casting long shadows that looked almost like lines of code. Some people are born to fit in. Others are born to stand out. And some of us were born to build something entirely new. That's not revenge. That's not even success. That's justice. And it codes beautifully.